My name's Chris.
And I'm Kristie.
This is the Watching Up Podcast.
Woo!
It's the Great Canadian Bake Off and it's semi-final.
Down to 4. Yes.
It's amazing. It's semi-final week and it was pie week.
It was PEI week. And Wendy McIsaac just wandered in.
No. Pie.
Yeah, PEI.
No, P-I-E. Pie week.
Oh, that's why there were so many pies in the shed. I just thought they were big fans of pies on PEI. Oh, my dyslexia is going insane.
It's coming back again.
Oh, coming to bite me. Oh, I wonder why there wasn't enough lobster and crayfish going on.
Yeah, you did feel a bit disappointed by that.
There's no Anne of Green Gables reference.
Exactly.
Anne of Green Gables references.
You had it right. Keep running with that feeling.
Yes.
Also, it's also, as you can pick, it's the lovely warmer parts of the year here in Miscellaneous City, and you can pick that by the cicadas.
Yes, we've just hit early November, which of course is cicada season. But I did some research, and the area of land we live on, the traditional owners, the Darawal people, this time of year, it's called warm and wet, and I can't remember the Aboriginal name for it, but it's the time of the great eel serpent Paradui, and this is really cool. Now, just bear with me. Okay, cool. So what happens is, this is the time when all the mature eels get called by the great eel spirit to go to the mouth of Sydney Harbour and head out into the ocean. And then they travel and they go for a massive orgy eel fuckfest in Fiji. I was about to call it Fushal. And Vanuatu and the Wombats. They basically go on Schoolies or maybe a great big, Club Med?
Oh, God,
Club Med. Now, it's a little bit less just coming home with bad memories, because what happens is they mate, they spawn, and then they die. And
I mean,
after giving birth to a next generation who come back to Australia and go into the rivers.
I swear I've been here before, but I can't quite remember when. What are you taking any checked luggage with you? No, you won't be needing it. What do you mean I won't be needing it? Never mind, we'll tell you on the way back, Barry. See you later, Barry.
Just like, Club Med, schooling,
party. And of course, that means, if you're out near the heads of Sydney Harbour, you need to be very careful, of course, because otherwise you might recreate a scene from The Princess Bride.
It's the shrieking eel.
The shrieking eel terrified the hell out of me. It was the one scene in that movie that scared the shit out of me.
Oh no, what got me was when Carrie Ellis was being resuscitated. Yeah. Oh, love. Just that bit. And having, the years sucked out of him. That really just... Yeah, just...
I mean, the other thing that terrified me was I was really scared of the witty banter and wordplay as he came up the side of the mountain and had the discussion about killing each other. It was, that great conversation. Yeah. That terrified me because wordplay, terrifying. Ooh. Anyway, it is semi-final week and we are going to talk about the Great Canadian Bake Off. Yeah. It was an interesting week. Pie Week is always fascinating.
Yep, no, it's actually Pie Week, not PEI Week.
It's somewhat legendary here in Australia.
Pie.
The first of the great Pie Weeks.
Oh, it gave birth to something phenomenally awesome.
So the first of the great Pie Weeks here in Australia really happened in season 2 of Bake Off as we know it.
Yep.
And we call it Bake Off as we know it.
And it was a triple-decker pie, wasn't it?
Triple-decker pie. And the amazing immortal swearer canary herself, Fee Newen, dropped a pie. And unlike in Canadian when Natalia dropped her crust and
she's going, oh goodness,
fiddle-dee-dee, will require a tetanus shot and other Homer-like classics. Instead of that, you got Fee going, fuck. And they left it in.
Yes.
Because we leave that stuff in. So... it's kind of epic, it's kind of legendary, and it was actually our first big interview on the podcast when we talked to Fee about her saying fuck on Australian television, which she was fiercely proud of, as she should be.
Yeah, I mean, it goes down in, for me, television legends in Australia, like Kerry Packer pulling off what's his Doug Mulray sexy time show in the early 90s?
Yeah, so for those of you in Canada, who is a large part of our audience, who first of all are going to get to the baking, we will.
We will.
There's a lot of time, guys. There were 4 contestants. There was a show called Naughtiest Home Videos, not Funniest, Naughtiest Home Videos, hosted by Doug Mulray, who was a famous Sydney radio personality. Known for sort of a bit of risque humour.
Bit of innuendo.
It came out later on that Doug and his wife, Lizzie, who ran the show, used to partake on air quite frequently in a lot of joint smoking. And it's quite obvious now when you listen back to it, it's basically someone getting stoned and going, this will be funny. But he got to host a show called Naughtiest Home Videos, and it was the second ad break when the boy reached for the kangaroo penis. At that point, the owner of Channel 9 and Australia's richest man at the time, Kerry Packer, rang up the station and said, get that shit off my network. It went to ad break and came back to Cheers.
And was never seen or
heard of again. But it is legendary in Australia. So,
I just feel sorry for the people who were stoned watching that.
Exactly.
And they've gone, what? I've spaced out.
My father's fell asleep on the lounge, and when he woke up, Cheers was on. He was thoroughly confused. So what does this have to do with Pie Week? Nothing. But we're going to move on to it now. So the signature was a pastry pie face. Mm-hmm. Now, the Australian pie chain Pie Face must have been going, free sponsorship, great. Look at the publicity we're getting. It's wonderful. Not that one. And I'm not a big fan of their pies. Anyway.
No, if you're going to Newtown, which has a pie face, why go there?
When there's a pie tin.
Yeah.
Yeah, and look, we're not sponsored by them, but if you ever come to Australia and you go to Miscellaneous City and you go to Newtown, which is in Miscellaneous City, that gives it away, but who cares? Go to the pie tin. And I will put up. I'll try to find it.
Chris will take you.
I'll try to find it, and I'll put it up on the.
Him.
I'll put it up on the Twitter. They have some of the most amazing pies ever. Savoury pies are brilliant, and they rotate them all the time. Their beef stroganoff pie is outstanding, and they rotate all these different weird flavours of savoury pie. Their sweet pies are incredible, and they've got one famous one called the apple pie that ate Newtown.
It looks like it has been baked inside a small horse trough.
It puts the Costco apple pie to shame.
Like Costco, look at that and go,
Costco's is latticed. Costco's is latticed as well. This is a solid, crunchy top. It is one of the most amazing things ever, and I will put a link to it up. Guarantee it'll be out there.
One slice will feed the whole family.
It kind of does, actually. It's huge. So anyway, you had to make a face out of pie. Now, This feels, and I stopped at this point and went, why? And you had the answer.
Instagram.
This is an Instagram challenge.
And because in Australia, like our pie love, okay, so there's certain places that you can go buy pies. But in Australia, when you say, I'm going to eat a pie, we're talking about a mini meat pie.
We're talking savoury, we're talking hot, we're talking meat pie.
We're talking going to the local servo, that's a gas station for you guys, grabbing a meat pie. I mean, they're not the greatest, but when you're on the run...
Look, there's nothing...
Going to the footy...
There's nothing like snout...
Get a 4 and 20.
There's nothing like snout in there with your beef to... Gristle, lots of gristle.
Delicious.
Actually, no, there are now... To give you an idea about how seriously Australia takes its pies... There are now standards in place about the quantity of meat must be in a meat pie. Not offal. It used to be meat and offal. Now it's got to be meat. There is a requirement.
It's like at school when you used to get the meat pies from the canteen, right? And you'd get it, and there was at least 2 bites where you just got this little bit of gristle that
Australians,
I found nice.
Australians
kind of liked it.
I think personally, Australians take their pies very seriously.
Everyone has their way of eating them.
Yep.
Everyone has their preferred sauce to go on it, whether it's tomato or barbecue sauce.
So quickly.
Yes.
Eating a pie.
Yes.
I am one of those people that takes the top off the pie.
Like me.
Yeah. I take the top layer of pastry off the pie because that's really awesome after it's been baked because you get the slightly crispy outside and the slightly chewy under.
Yeah.
I then scoop the filling of the pie out.
Yes, I eat that too.
And then eat the base and the other separately.
Yes, same.
Other people... just eat the whole thing, one big casing.
Like a sandwich.
Yep. Some people cut a hole in the top and squirt the sauce inside the pie. I used to get a problem with that. I have a lunch order, and sometimes the woman who in the canteen who was doing it, she'd squirt the sauce in the pie.
Killer.
That ruins the flavour.
Oh. You may as well just friggin' drink some tomato sauce. Just scull it. Just pass it over and scull it.
We take our pies seriously here. Yeah. It's a very serious thing. And
when you're having like a kid's party pies.
Party pies and sausage rolls.
And they're like probably the size of, small, just a bit smaller than a cupcake.
Yeah.
And they're so good. And particularly like towards the end of the party when they've gone a bit cold.
Yeah, that's a completely other story, the party pie. So... I was wondering why the hell they were going with a pie face. And as you said, Instagram's the answer to that one. I don't know. I like the challenge. I like Pie Week for the semi-final. I was wondering about it only because it's a semi-final. I'm like, is that really a semi-final challenge? But look,
you got to start with something, and and that gives way for people being able to choose their filling and choose how they decorate, which is pretty cool.
Exactly.
What I was disappointed is on Facebook, I saw this lovely meme. This person who'd baked these pies with faces and that looked like actual human faces that had been baked. It was fantastic. It was a thing of nightmares.
I feel like it's half a step away from Sweeney Todd.
And what meat are you using there?
Try a little priest. No. No, I'm not going to sing Little Priest. Okay, so moving on. So Kyla.
Yeah.
Did you know that Kyla comes from a long line of pie makers?
Why, yes, I did. The year was 1632.
Ooh.
And the good captain of the ship, the Pie, landed in Ontario.
You sure it landed in Ontario?
Where's...
I think they might have landed in PEI.
PEI! They rented in PEI. And this...
Coming ashore in Lake Ontario would be great.
Yeah. What's Kyla's last name?
Don't worry about that, just run.
Okay, so the Kyla family disembarked onto PEI.
It's far more funny not telling you what Kyla's last name is, really.
And they'd been through storms and they'd lost a lot of luggage that managed to hang on to their pie tins. And they set up their pie shop. And ever since, then they came across from Europe Place. And
Europe Place to PEI via Lake Ontario.
They were pushed out by Big Sausage Roll.
Big Sausage Roll.
And Big Pasty.
Big Pasty is horrible.
You know, they were chased from their where generations of Kyla family had been selling pies, you know, like Neanderthals.
The Kyla family, and when they landed, though, what I did here was, once they set up their shop, the Kyla family met the Keneally family. And what ended up happening was a blending, an emerging, and thus everyone in her family for the last 4 generations, male, female, doesn't matter.
Pie makers.
Kyla Keneally.
Yeah, Kyla Keneally.
They're all called Kyla Keneally.
This is my cousin Kyla.
Yeah, they're all
Kyla
called.
Keneally.
It makes for family gatherings that are easy and difficult at the same time.
It also makes for whoever goes from the health department to check the pie shop. And who's the owner here? Kyla Keneally? Are you Kyla Keneally? Why, I sure am, but you're 5 years old. I like pie. Yeah, so you haven't heard the full history yet. Okay. So then, in 479, the Anglo-Saxons...
Well, we're going way back. How the hell did you get the rest of this history?
Well, I already told you about the Neanderthals.
Well, you did, but...
Okay, and then the Anglo-Saxons grabbed some. I heard Pythagoras has had a Kyla Keneally pie. So Napoleon specifically invaded that area.
And then, of course, in the mid-'80s, there was a new wave movement, which ended with everybody, of course, having a Kyla Keneally pie. That was a long story to get to that punchline, and you didn't even know we were getting to that punchline, but my God, was I waiting for it about halfway through. So, Jodie, let's get to someone actually baking something. Yeah. So Jodie baked what she called her blackberry cheesecake.
And it was so cute.
It was incredible. So I like the fact as well she was using butter and lard.
Yes.
And we've had a week in Australia this week.
It was vegan week 2 weeks ago.
And this week they counted that by having a lot of butter and lard.
Just a lot of animal-based products.
We started with pasties in Australian week.
Yes, we did.
So that was what they started with there. Also, in the spirit of Pie Week, I, of course, made a pie yesterday.
You did?
2 pies yesterday.
One based on Matt Moran's...
No, they were both based off Matt Moran's, but the same pie.
Oh, okay. Yes, you did.
Suck it, Matt Moran.
Yeah.
And I say that with all love, because I love you, but...
It was basically because I went out hunting for a terrine.
Okay.
And do you think you can find one in our local area?
So
one woman said to me, will a pie tin do? And I'm like, no, a pie tin will not do. And apparently a pie tin will do.
So to give you quickly on this with the pie thing before we move on, on Australian Bake Off the other week when they made the vegan terrine, I might have attempted the vegan terrine for this gathering because we had vegetarians and vegans and pescatarians, so they weren't going to eat meat. And I made brisket for the rest of them, so, that's a bit of a problem. Apparently brisket is not vegetarian enough. So I then tried to make the vegan terrine. We had a go at it. The galette around the outside had no flavour for a start and was not structurally sound.
I don't know if...
And I spoke to a few other people who confirmed, no, it's not really structurally sound.
So you turned it into a pie.
So I went with vegan pastry instead and made it into a pie, and it was absolutely brilliant. So if you go onto the lifestyle.com.au website, and people in Canada, go have a look at the recipes from Australian Bake Off. They're really good. If you go and find the vegan terrine, make it with pastry and do it as a pie, and as long as you squeeze all the moisture out of the filling, which you're supposed to do anyway, it'll hold beautifully and just cuts really well.
And it did, and all the vegans loved it. And then you made a vegan blueberry cheesecake.
I did.
And I asked one of the vegans, I'm like, because we had quite a few. We had some vegans. Because you catered an event for me and my pagan friends. That's how I should... So happy Beltane or happy Samhain to people in the Northern Hemisphere. Anyway... So, and they were very happy with it, and it was beautiful. Oh my God, it was blueberry and cashew nut was for the filling.
Yes.
Oh, delish.
So,
and some medjool dates for the base.
But what I really loved, so let's go back to this now. So with Jodie.
Back to Jodie's pie.
Yeah, so again, her blackberry cheesecake. And as she said, it was in honour of her daughter.
Oh,
so,
who's named Little Black Bear, isn't it? Yeah, Little Black Bear girl. Oh, it's so cute.
It was lovely. And when we get to it later on, the decoration on top of that pie, that bear face was so good.
It was.
And I was thinking about it when the pie went into the oven, and I sort of said to you at the time, I went, that's going to be really hard to judge because it's a dark background, and I hate baking anything with a really dark background because you can't tell if it's burning or not.
But it wasn't. It stood out. Like, it was 3D, and the eyes oh my God, it looks
rather
so pretty.
than burning, it baked perfectly, and the features all came to life. It was so amazing. Natalia. Now, she did the face in the mirror cake. Now, what I really...
She was talking to the face in the pie.
And we're not going to reference him again.
Oh, my God. Oh, I feel so dirty.
We're not going to reference him again. So, the face in the mirror pie, what I really liked about this, first of all, is you got to do a face that people can recognise. And she went, well, me.
I know better. Mirror, mirror on the wall, whose tasty is the face of a pie?
It's Natalia. So, she did apricot and chili filling with cashews. That sounded really damn good.
It did, but she chopped the apricots a little too
really fine. We'll get to that in a minute.
The decoration, amazing, as usual.
And when she got to the decoration on it too, again, there was a lot of freehand on hers. And she was doing the face, and it's just...
She's such a beautiful artist.
When she does those, they're just incredible. And like everything that she presents, the first comment the judges have is that just looks stunning.
I know, like her bread week will still stay with me forever.
It's incredible.
Gorgeous.
Now, Colin. Colin was one of our heroes.
And I was cheering.
Didn't he have a week?
Another Greek myth come to life.
Medusa.
Woo!
Now, I was trying to find the link between Medusa and a Madras chicken curry pie.
It's a Medusa Madras.
There we go, you've done it.
And I think what he should have used is to make it really authentic, snake meat.
That would have been cool.
Because do you remember in Indiana Jones, and was it the Temple of Doom?
Temple of Doom's got snakes all the way through it. No, Raiders have snakes.
There was something, he went to some feast and they slit open the belly and all the little...
the snakes come out, that's Temple of Doom. Temple of Doom, the dark movie, the one that Steven Spielberg says he regrets making. Because he's like, that wasn't for kids.
It really wasn't.
Everyone went to Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Come on, kids.
We seem to be on movies I was traumatised by as a youngster. Yeah. And Temple of Doom, when you rewatch it now, first of all, God, it's dark.
It is.
Second of all, God, there's some racial stereotypes in there. And third of all...
It's just a little bit Mino-Reiki, really.
And third of all, like, there were poor kids who came out of, like, and Temple and
the heart being pulled out of the chest.
The heart's being ripped. That stays with me forever. Yeah. Those whole scenes, like, it's so dark. It's so terrifying. And Steven Spielberg later on went, yeah, that was a bad call. I shouldn't have done that. And then they went to Last Crusade, which was just Harrison Ford running around with Sean Connery as his father,
which is great.
Both of them sleeping with the same Nazi. How do you know she was a Nazi? She talks in her sleep.
What I'm thankful for is Steven Spielberg didn't go the George Lucas route and just go, look, I just wanted to put a few extra,
go back and redo it. Jabba the Hutt suddenly appears out of nowhere.
AT-ATs in the background,
Jar Jar here.
Look, Mr. Jones, what are you doing? Oh, good, we've got another racial stereotype.
And this is why Belloc should be Emperor of Galaxy. No, but the idea of the Madras chicken curry pie was really good. And the bright, vibrant green colours that Colin went with for the hair.
Beautiful.
Ooh, it looked amazing. Now, Colin didn't blind bake. He cut his pie so it would vent instead of blind baking.
Yeah.
There was a bit of a debate between who was going to vent and who was going to blind bake, and of course this leads to talk about soggy bottoms.
Because I heard that, I'm going, okay, here we go. Cue the soggy bottoms.
And sure enough, conversation about soggy bottoms, and it only went briefly because no one had a soggy bottom.
No.
Everyone managed to avoid a soggy bottom.
You know, later on, I think Chris had one blonde bottom, but
Chris
there was no
Chris
soggy
had one
bottoms.
later on, but we didn't have a soggy bottom. We had a blonde bottom for Chris, and in this one here we had a brown top. Or a blackened top, actually, is what we had. So Chris was making a Howling Wolf savoury pie, and he brought back a Canadian classic, bison.
Which I was a bit concerned for at first, because when I saw the Howling Wolf, I'm thinking, ooh, Clan Stark, is this going to be an Arya-style pie?
Is it going to have one of the bakers that's gone? Why does this taste like Liam? Funny you should say that.
Hey there, Walder Frey.
So the Howling Wolf savoury pie said bison and cheddar, and again, the last time we saw this was Jude.
Yes.
In our podcast episode,
hey, Jude.
Bison, lamb, turkey, and yam. So this, it was a return to bison and cheddar. It's like, bison's very popular. I'm like, and that's how we know we're watching Canadian.
Yes. In Australia, it would have been, it's a kangaroo pie.
Kangaroo doesn't go in pies that often.
It can't, though, because it's a very lean meat. There's not enough fat in it.
It's also a bit gamey.
Yeah.
I really do like kangaroo. I'm a big fan of kangaroo, actually. It is like a leaner cut of beef.
Yeah, you know what's disappointing? Crocodile.
Crocodile is very disappointing.
Oh, I had a crocodile pizza. You can go down to the Australian Youth Hotel down near Miscellaneous Cities Bridge.
Yep. The Miscellaneous City Bridge.
And back in the day, this is the mid-90s, they just released their True Blue Aussie menu, and it was you could have a kangaroo pizza, or you can have a crocodile pizza. And I believe you could have that still today because it's popular with it. Oh, yeah, and echidna flambe. Blue ring octopus, friggin' marinara.
Well, octopus works. But no, like I like kangaroo. I had a friend of mine who came out from America, and the first thing was she's like, I want to have kangaroo. So the first thing we did on the first night was I did a barbecue, and I barbecued kangaroo for them.
Yeah, just on the side of the road.
Kangaroos, I've hit a kangaroo with my car twice. By the way, for those going, oh my god, the poor kangaroo. No, it's oh my god, the poor vehicle. A kangaroo is tough.
Yeah.
They hit cars and just destroy them. And the roo hit my car, jumped, looked at me and hopped off.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell's wrong with you? Bonnet, crumpled. Kangaroo, fine.
My car bumped a wombat once.
Oh, God, they are... Wombats are car killers.
I think it was because I had a Daewoo Matisse, which basically looks like a giant bronze wombat.
So it was like trying to mate with it?
It was quite funny because I'd gone down to go to a pagan camp, of course, because that's what I do. I was in the middle of the fucking bush, and I'd left after work, and this is like down past Canberra, which is 2.5 hours away from Miscellaneous City. And it's not Canberra City, it was in the fucking bush, and the turn off...
So 3 minutes outside of Canberra.
The directions were turn left after the creek. Okay, that's the kind of thing. Well, I turned left down what I thought was the road. That's our capital
city, by the way.
Yeah. No, it's beyond it. Anyway, I turned left, and obviously I mistook the dirt track for the road, and I went down this dirt track, and there were just all these fucking wombats around, and I'm like trying to drive my little Daewoo Matisse around these wombats, and they all just kept coming towards it, like it was some kind of, the wombat god has arrived, quick my brothers and sisters. I stumbled upon a wombat cult.
And you became, by default, its leader.
I felt like C-3PO with the Ewoks.
The wombat god is here.
He returns.
They've spoken often of the one who shall return.
It came and blessed brother Wombat John by donking him on the head. And I was really worried. I'm like, oh my god, I've like hurt the wombat. And the person that was with me is like, it's a fucking wombat. The car's going to have more damage. Guess what? Wombat was fine. Car had a big fucking dent in it.
Wombats are car killers. They really are. Like, everyone looks at our wildlife and goes, oh, so cute. No, they're brutal. They're nasty. And
except our bees. They're stingless.
Except our bees. Our bees are the thing that don't hurt you.
They're a bit pervy, though.
They are. We've been through this the other week, though. So... So at this point, Jodie was going freehand with her decoration because there was a show going on. And
oh, that's right. Canadian Bake Off.
Colin and Chris were working with a stencil, and Natalia was working freehand. Yeah. And none of that's a judgment, by the way, on stencil or freehand, because like I would be stenciling all the way.
My freehand, I would be like coming out, and it's like it's dignity. Dignity.
When I draw a house and a tree and a person, the person is the largest thing on there. And it's quite frequently, whenever I have to do medieval Europe, I always draw the person standing on top of the tower of the castle. And the reason I do this is the kids get a great laugh about how the person is double the size of the tower they're standing on. I'm like, now as you can see, there's a little bit of protection offered by the top of the tower, and they go, not for a person that tall, sir. It doesn't quite work. So
they're magnified, just in this general area.
So at this point was when Chris went, something's not quite right here, and opened up the oven. And his blind bake was burning. Oh. But it was interesting. It was burning on the top. It was perfectly fine down the bottom.
Yeah.
But the top was blackened. And so he kind of like, I don't know what I'm going to do here. And then later on he went, I know what I'll do, and just started scraping.
Like you do with toast. It's like, I can go. Run out of bread.
I'm not making another one of these. Let's just scrape it off.
Go for it off and have disappointment for breakfast.
I love Jodie as well when she goes, I hate waiting. And Colin's like, I thought I was on the Great Canadian Waiting Show. That would be a very interesting show. I mean, I feel like we got a little bit of that tonight, to be honest with you.
Quite polite.
Part of the problem with having 4 people and doing Pie Week is there's a lot of downtime.
There's a lot of staring at ovens.
Lots of downtime. Lots of people looking around.
They don't show as much making of coffee or tea on Canadian.
No, they didn't. I mean, that's the one area where Canadian needs to up its game. The rest of the bake-offs make...
You're the home of Tim Hortons. At least get some delivery coffee.
Yeah, at least show them, like, getting some Tim Hortons and turning up with the Tim Hortons and getting some Timbits and everyone's sharing a Timbit.
I mean, Tim was on the fucking show.
I mean, he was. I mean, surely you can get a discount, given that Tim Horton was hiding among you. And then when they went around and they're checking each other's ovens, and Colin just looks down into Jodie's oven and goes, oh, I love a bear. You know what I'm saying? We sure do. We sure do. He's a fan of Yogi.
Colin, if I had a penis and was just gay, I'd be into bears too. I'd be a total growler. Is that what they're called? People who are into bears? I know they're not.
It is now. A total growler.
It's like totally hairy.
You know a growler is a nickname for something else,
yes,
right?
I do.
Which made it really funny when the Toronto Maple Leafs named their third team, their minor hockey team, the Growlers. The Newfoundland Growlers. No! I'm not joking. People from Canada, tweet Kristie, show her the Newfoundland Growlers mascot.
I'm not Googling that.
I guarantee you they renamed their affiliate in the ECHL the Growlers.
Is their women's team called the Vajazzlers?
Should be. Anyway, Medusa at this point we found out had a brown bottom. So look, it's good to get historical accuracy.
She was from
Mediterranean. That would work.
Brown bottom. Out there in the sun all day, just her and the snakes.
So the judging.
Sunbaking.
So Jodie's, they said it looked great. It was a little bit soft when they cut it and held it up, but they didn't say that was a bad thing because they said the crust held because it was great and it was a really even colour. It looked really good.
Yeah.
Chris, they said there were a lot of details, but it was all the detail that he put into the rest of it was lost on that crust because all you could look at was the burnt crust.
It's just
And Kyla did actually note that he tried to scratch it away. The filling didn't quite hold up, unfortunately. It was a bit too watery, but the flavouring was incredible. And that's what they said. You always nail your flavours.
Yeah. And I was worried for Chris at this point because I'm like, I've never seen him have such a shaky start, and he just wasn't his normal.
I think after he burnt the pie crust, I don't think he ever quite recovered. I think he got rattled by burning a pie crust in a semi-final.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like that was it. Like he was trying to get back the whole way.
Yeah.
Natalia. Now they did first of all comment that it looked like her, which was great. Disappointed, by the way, they didn't make a Carolyn or an Aurora. I mean, look, they had the chance, they didn't do it.
They were there modelling, ready to go.
They were ready. They were trying.
Yeah.
They said the filling was very soft, so it was a bit hard to cut.
Yeah.
And that was because the apricot was cut way too small. They did say the flavour was really good and well balanced, but as they said, it's also a semi-final and it's all about the details. And Colin. Now, Kyla wanted more face detail in the cake. It was all about the hair, in the pie. It was all about the hair, though.
Exactly, and maybe it was Medusa post-beheading.
How do we know what Medusa looks like, given that, you can't look it up?
What if it was Medusa's face from, one of, Athena's shields? Because that's what happened.
That would work.
Yeah.
So they said the crust was flaky, the flavour was great, but it also felt a bit flat. I said, this one I was confused. I went, did they just say it was good and bad? And the answer was, yes.
Yes. Something I did note, though, the judges are a little less bloodthirsty than, say, Matt Moran, who likes to find the most sensitive part of a bake that's been personified and just slice right through it. For example, Santa's butt.
Matt's got a bit of a habit in the Australian Bake Off of cutting
off heads, cutting through butts.
When cutting between legs. He's very brutal.
Through it, yeah,
they were very delicate with the way they cut these, like they were real people.
Yeah.
Now the technical. Now the technical. For fuck's sake. All right. So I'm like, oh good, this will be great. It's a technical, and we open with Bruno speaking French.
Bonjour.
And of course, he gave a bunch of instructions in French.
Made perfect sense to everyone who spoke French.
Yes.
Unlike us, who do not speak
not a
French.
word of it. Oh, you speak accents.
I speak accents. I can get inference. So I think he was saying, cook this beautiful French pie thing. You will enjoy it. Make it pretty.
Now,
delicious.
Now, let's just see if this works. I'm going to try some.
Petivier.
Bless you.
Bless you.
Thank you. You're welcome. Petivier.
Yeah.
So, and then they gave it its other French name, and I just went, fuck that for a joke. Nope, can't do it. I'm out.
Was it something yay?
I don't remember. Someone will tell us and go, oh, it's really simple. It's, well done. Not native French speakers. Sorry about that. We
barely native English speakers.
Some of us.
Hey, look, just because words just don't like to come out.
Just because words don't leave your face all the time.
No.
So it's a frangipane and sweet cherry jam. And there's a pattern on the outside.
Sweet cherry jam.
I'm not doing it. Ba. Okay. So 2.5 hours to make it. As Chris pointed out, I've made it 0 times, but I've had it once. So surely that gives me an advantage over everyone else. As it turned out, Chris, no. No, it didn't. It really didn't.
I feel like a bit of schadenfreude. In the kindest of ways, because I really do feel for Chris.
Look, love Chris, but we're going to have to talk about it, Chris, so you might want to skip ahead.
Just maybe tune in
to the next episode.
Go relive another one, maybe one with...
well, we praised you a lot.
Grace the Caribou,
Yeah, Grace the Caribou. It's a great episode. You'll love it. So... It was tricky because, as Bruno said, you have to make a puff dough. Then you have to do the decoration, which is all about knife skills. Then you have to make the 2 fillings, the frangipane and the sweet cherry jam.
Yep.
So, Chris also did make note of the fact that when they were making the puff, and we've seen a lot of puff pastry over the years. If you've watched Bake Off, you have watched...
We're all puff experts
You have watched everyone make a puff pastry.
We're lounge puffers.
Is it a...
We
are indeed... Lounge puffers. So we know the difference between a rough puff and a full puff pastry.
Yes.
A proper puff. We've watched people go for a proper puff, and we're like, no, it's gonna be a rough puff.
No, do a rough puff.
Rough puff will do it.
Not
Don't
enough
do a proper
time for rough puff. No time for proper puff.
As lounge puffers, we know the difference. We know the importance.
Yeah, we're experts.
A good rough puff.
Puff-perts, really.
Yep, a good rough puff will do the job. So luckily in this recipe, Bruno gave them a rough puff.
Yes.
Didn't make a full puff, just a rough puff.
Just a rough puff.
So,
not a half puff or a full puff.
And again,
semi-puff.
All the lounge puffers at home went, thank God.
Yes.
So
good choice. Well done.
Really good choice. Thank God they had to make a full one. But he did note that it was the hottest day they've had inside the pavilion.
Oh, and us lounge puffers all know, not good.
No, because why is it not good?
It melts your butter.
And what do you need to make a rough puff?
Hard butter.
Cold butter, cold water, all in a rough puff.
Yeah, all cold.
It's all going to be cold. It's going to be hard, solid.
Got to melt in the oven to get the layers going.
Exactly, and that is why our lounge puffers all went, ooh, that's not good with the heat. And you could see Chris sweating. So...
Sorry, Chris.
Really sorry, Chris.
Really sorry.
So, I was, to be honest with you, this whole challenge was about one thing for me.
Yes.
they all got to use cherry pitters.
They were cool, and not the
They
single
were
pitters.
fucking amazing. I was watching it going, so how are they going to do this? And then it was just like they were putting hole punch into things.
Yeah.
Put them in the thing, they're like, and then just Colin just look at his face like, this is so cool.
It looks so satisfying. It looks like those...
One of those oddly satisfyings?
Like when I liked binding at work.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you go use the binder and just that crunch as it goes down and just makes those perfect holes. Like, I need one of those pitters. And just some... It's coming up to cherry season.
Oh.
We can pick some cherries.
That's got to happen.
Yep.
Those they were the highlight of this whole thing for me. So sorry, bakers, but like the cherry pitter won me over.
Yeah.
And I'm not even that big on cherries, but the cherry pitter won me over.
Yeah. I love good cherries.
I'm not big on cherries, but I love a cherry ripe. Anyway,
I'm always curious though, because in Miscellaneous Cities fresh markets,
Yeah.
they sell that first box of cherries.
ridiculous prices.
Ridiculous price to raise money for charity.
Capital, yeah.
And they do the same with the first box of mangoes.
Yes.
So I'm like, is it though, or is it just people pretending? Because you
100%.
wouldn't know.
100%. So, Colin,
I never see the big check arrive at the children's hospital.
are you supposed to be there for all of them?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Just need to know.
Has anyone told you?
I don't.
Have you told them, more importantly, that you're supposed to be there?
Oh, that's probably.
There's your
someone.
issue. They're not
That's
ringing
the
you.
issue. They're not.
They don't think
Yeah.
you're supposed to be there. They don't know. You've got to tell
No.
them these things, Kristie.
Yeah.
So, I love when they cut to Colin and he goes, so, Frangipane. How fun. And look, I'm really getting close to putting Frangipane on my hit list. Not because it's bad.
Just because it's overly used.
I have seen in the last probably 3 series of Bake Off that I've watched,
So much Frangipane.
it's almost every second episode of something.
Do you think all the Bake Off franchises are in the pocket of Big Frangipane?
Big Frangipane?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Just descendants of that Duke Frangipane or whoever it was.
Yeah.
You know, kind of like, oi there, you're going to be putting some Frangipane in to your bakes this season?
You know he wasn't British.
Hello, this is Italiano. It's from Sicily, I bet. Yeah, that's what it is. He just happens to be from Sicily.
For those playing along at home,
Some connections. I'm using the hand
for
gestures.
those playing along at home,
Yeah.
can I suggest rewind that bit
Like,
and go through the wide range of accents that the Queen of Accenting just hit
look, I'm
in
sure-
one fell swoop. She went from England to France. She was on a road trip. England, France, detour sort of via Portugal into Italy. It was wonderful. It was just this running wave of accents to get to Italian at the end.
Yeah, well, I couldn't, just got to go through the accent bank.
So if you want to hear the wide range of this woman's skill, just rewind that little bit and just listen to the way the accents progress.
Okay, so
It's
we now
brilliant.
know he's Italiano.
Yes.
From Sicily, I bet.
And at this point, Aurora turned around and was reading the recipe to Colin and goes, score an elaborate pattern of your choice. And Colin just goes, and who doesn't love an elaborate pattern? He was absolutely on fire in this and really made some good television. He then followed that up by pointing out that he was just following the lack of instructions.
So who do you think it's got to come out? Oh.
Yeah,
When
we
did you
don't-
put it in? Oh.
We'll get to that. That was really cool. So Chris at this point realised that he was a bit time poor. And he's like, I don't know if I'm going to get this done. I don't know if I'm going to get this all worked out. The mixture's not ready yet. The crust's not ready yet. None of it's ready yet. Then they go to the bit where because they were all doing, of course, they had to do the edging. And Chris looks at the camera, holds up the tool and goes, I found this. I'm not sure if it means anything. Now, that felt to me like everyone who has ever put together IKEA, after the bookcase or whatever you've bought is assembled, and you're sitting there looking at 3 pieces, going, I don't know what these are. I'm not pulling it apart, but I don't know if these are structurally integral.
Kind of like
Our shelf in the kitchen.
Shelf in the kitchen.
It took 6 months to realise the shelf was upside down.
It's magnificent.
And we haven't fixed it because I'm not taking everything off it to turn this bloody great big shelf upside down.
No, because we're always like, we're going to build a pantry there eventually anyway, so just leave the shelf up.
But yeah, no, it took 6 months to suddenly look at it and go,
There's something not quite right.
why is the top open on that? Why is there an extra shelf? That doesn't make any sense.
the bottom.
Oh, that's a ridge. Oh, that's the bottom. Oh, Okay. That's how that works.
Yeah.
Oh, so I haven't.
But you know what's good about it is that you can put stuff on that top ridge, and
it's
it doesn't
taller
get
than the shelf.
Yeah, and it doesn't get that layer of crusty dirt. You know, when you always like after a couple of years, you go, I should fucking clean that.
Yeah.
And you go to that top shelf, and there is this like grime, and you're like, what do we live in?
Yeah. Why is there grime here?
What happens up here?
Who climbs up there and puts the grime there?
Just mixes some oil and dust and God knows what else and just coats it on the top.
Paints it.
Yeah.
So at this point, we sort of realised that Chris wasn't comfortable or confident. And then he put his pie in and he says, I didn't put a lot of the filling in, so we'll see how this goes. And they cut back. And you were looking down at the time you missed it. And I just looked at you and I went, he's got a bowl of frangipane. Like, there's a lot of frangipane there.
There was. You
rewound it again and you had a look.
had a squeeze and I'm like, that's...
There was a lot of frangipane in the bowl. I'm thinking he might have put a single, spread.
That's not just some extra screws after you've put up your IKEA shelving. That's like a whole shelf just sitting there.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
Like, you've got a frame.
Gaping hole in the middle
You've got a frame and, the middle shelf is not there. So... Then we all got to watch them watching ovens.
Yep.
Not as much tea making as you pointed out, but we did get the wonderful exchange between Aurora and Colin. So just how relaxed Colin was, where Aurora said, so how long has it been in? And Colin goes, what a wonderful question. And Aurora looks at him and goes, well, what time did you put it in? And Colin goes, no idea. That's the level Colin was taking this as,
free and easy. Just picked up by Jude's whimsy that had been floating around looking for an outlet.
And so Jodie looked in and went, I wondered why there was this weird smell. And Jodie looks into her oven and it was leaking.
Yeah.
And then...
Her pie really did need a big...
Yeah.
Tampon.
It did. And then she looked back in and the leak... She's like, I wonder what that smell was, and pulls it out and the leak was burning.
It's like all these teenage girls from the bathroom just came out throwing tampons and going, plug it up. Like King Carrie. You've seen Carrie?
Yes.
Everyone else is laughing at this, Buchanan.
I know. And then, but the other thing was, though, when Jodie pulled out her pie and the leak was burning, it was like when something on The Simpsons randomly catches fire.
Yes.
You know, like when something falls over and then bursts into flames and there's no possible reason for it? It was like that. The leak came out and then the leak caught fire and she's like, well, that's something you don't see every day. But she did manage to, chisel it all away.
Yes.
But, as we'll come to in a minute, crime scene investigation stepped in. So, Jodie, so the judging, the perfectly sculpted edge, there were some leakage issues and there were some design problems. Bruno then looks and goes, it seems to me like the jam escaped and probably burnt on the tray.
No, what we didn't see is Bruno walk in with his aviators on,
pull
them off and
put them back on.
Yeah.
And of course, you know why David Caruso does that?
Why? Oh, for continuity.
So he has to be in the scene.
Oh.
So David Caruso, this is a true story. David Caruso always at the start of every scene and the end of every scene either puts the glasses on or takes them off. And the reason he does that is if they can't cut him out, because for continuity purposes, the glasses will be wrong.
Oh.
So that's why there's the big dramatic take the glasses off, put the glasses on, take the glasses off, put the glasses on. It's all about the continuity, so he has to at least be in the start and the finish of every scene.
Wow.
Yeah. That is acting 101 from somebody who is desperate to get their career resurrected.
What did he do before that?
So, I don't know if you remember correctly, but David Caruso was on... which one was it? It was one of the other law... I can't remember. It wasn't...
Law and Order?
I think it might have been Law and Order originally. And then anyway, because it's the famous joke from season 1 of South Park, where Ike's being taken by the aliens, and they're like, Ike, do your impression of David Caruso's career, and he goes, it's my turn! And jumps out of the spacecraft.
But now IMDb.
So David I can't remember what the old show was, because that's how I think it might have been Law and Order, but because that's how locked into CSI he is. So while Kristie looks that up, Inspector Bruno
he was in Body Count. Oh, Jade, that's right. I remember that movie Jade, where it's just that poster. It's got a very sexy looking. It's like a green background and a sexy looking dark haired woman with a hand up the wall. And I remember that because it stayed in our local video shop's window for years.
Because nobody hired it.
It's like
Simple.
clean.
An horrible movie. So...
He was in Hudson Hawk.
We don't care about his movie credits. So... I would actually, by the way, though, pay to see a show called Inspector Bruno.
Hill Street Blues? Is that
I know he was in Hill Street Blues, but it was another one later on, because it was another one he left in a huff. It wasn't Hill Street Blues, he left in a huff. Anyway, I would watch Inspector Bruno as a TV show. No, we can't use that theme. Mingling's already got that.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
Colin, they said it was a good outside, it was a great inside, the flavour was superb, they said the pattern looked really good, it was just a really great pie.
Yeah.
Natalia... they said that she reversed the scalloped effect, and to be honest with you, the reason she did that was she goes, I don't know what scalloped means.
Yeah.
So everyone else scalloped their pie and did it the other way, and she had it pointing out the other way.
Yeah.
They said it wasn't sealed properly either, but the filling was excellent.
So that would make it scallop... Pollux, because it's scallop backwards.
You put far too much effort into that. Chris, they said there was no scalloping whatsoever, and that's because he didn't know what that little thing did. It also, Bruno said that hurt his feelings. So all it takes to hurt Bruno's feelings is a non-scalloped pie. And yet...
He had to walk out and just says, just turn the cameras off for a moment. I need a moment.
I need a moment. The filling, so they said the filling was excellent, though. And then we got to Chris, so no scalloping, it hurt Bruno's feelings. He baked an empty shell.
It's like someone just snuck into his oven as it was baking, put in a straw, just...
The pastry, on the other hand...
Superb, perfect.
Well, you know why it was so good? It was unencumbered by moist ingredients.
Yeah.
Right? He got the best pastry because there was no moisture whatsoever. You could see where there had been a little bit of cherry, and you could see vaguely where there'd been a smattering of frangipane, but it was a completely empty shell. They picked it up and went, it's really light.
You know what he should have done? He's gone, oh, it's done in the pie, where is it? Look behind you, Bruno, and there's like a bowl of frangipane. Ta-da!
I would have, what's that over there catching fire? Yeah. Why? It's Canadian songstress, K.D. Lang. And then rush forward and just throw frangipane inside the shell.
Ta-da, it's back!
Never left.
Amazing.
Never left.
Reappearing frangipane.
So Chris was fourth, Jodie was third, Natalia was second, and Colin was first. Which leads us to the showstopper. Mm-hmm. So the showstopper was tiered pies or tarts. A minimum of 3, and they needed to be themed.
So everyone did 4?
So all those people did 4. And I was staggered. Like,
this isn't a razor blade ad. When you don't add an extra one to make it...
We're not at the Chic 5000, all right? Okay? So Colin talked about his earliest pie memory. His earliest pie memory was a blueberry peach pie that his mother made, and he absolutely loved, and as a result, his mother never made it again.
Oh, don't you fucking hate that? Like, your parents just make something once, and it's wonderful, and you never see it again.
And then when you remind them about it, they go, I never made that. And you're like, yes, you did.
This isn't maybe it's an alternative dimension. I swear blind sometimes in this world we all have dimension slips.
My parents are probably not happy about the fact that I have a really good memory. And as a result, I do remember all this shit. And so, like, they go back to, like, childhood stuff. Mm. And I'm trying to explain to them that, you know, I know all of this. And they're like, no. I'm like, yeah, but remember, I got a really good memory.
You do, which is why we make a good couple, because you remember everything I forget.
Yeah, my job is kind of to remember the stuff that you don't. Mm. So, as a result, he decided to make this pie. Yep. So he made the blueberry peach. He also went with a pecan black currant and a bumbleberry. So,
which I didn't think was a real thing. You're like, no, just a mixed berry pie.
It's a mixed berry pie, okay. Yeah. Because they're bumbling the berries together.
Oh, I thought it was because they put bumblebees in it, which I was very sad about, because we've got to save those bees, even the pervy ones.
You would have sent Chris home as a result. You would have sent Colin home as a result then for making a
No, if it tasted good, I'm going to eat it.
Yeah, the protein. Protein's protein. Protein's protein.
Eating insects is the wave of the future.
Wave of the future! So Colin made a buttercrust dough for all of them, which was quite clever. Oh, look, I think making the same dough for all 3 was smart, regardless of the fact that Natalia might have pulled it off with hers. Because you want to make sure you've got consistency.
Yeah.
As they said, do what you know, but do it perfectly.
Yeah, and you know, you've got to do... It's 3 pies in 4 hours.
Yeah. Or 4 pies, or 5 pies, or 9 pies if you really...
Yeah, just depending if you're going the Gillette method.
Or if you've got Flora there, she would have made like a baguette and like a choux pastry tower and like all these other things to go alongside the 9 pies she made for a 3-pie challenge. So Jodie also made the same crust for all her pies as well. Natalia made 4 pies with 4 crusts. Chris made 3 crusts for 4 pies.
Right.
So that's where all the numbers
kind of,
you know, and to quote one of my favourite shows, that's Number Wang. So and if you've never seen that, look up Number Wang. It's not dirty at all. It's actually not.
Until you Google it and then suddenly all these not safe for work sites come up.
No, it's from that Mitchell and Webb look. Look it up, people. That's Number Wang. So Jodie made what she called the brunch up. So it was basically the story behind that is that everyone works shift work.
Yep.
And I mean, obviously, you've got Thrill and Dylan.
Yes.
And wrestlers work weird hours, and then you've got, of course, Regina Casino.
Yep.
Place we know far too well. After the unpleasantness.
Presume Jodie wasn't working that night. She might have been on the day shift.
We have to talk about that.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you about that later because I found that out, and we'll chat. We'll keep that powder dry for a minute because I feel like that might come up at a later date.
All right.
So she works obviously works shift hours as well. So she said the kids adjust to us. Mm-hmm. So breakfast is dinner and dinner is breakfast, and we move everything around. I would love that.
But do you remember when you were a kid and maybe one night your mum and dad get home from work and it's quite late and they're like, let's just do breakfast dinner, and it's like sausages and eggs and bacon and fried tomato for dinner.
We didn't do breakfast dinner.
Didn't you?
No.
It's the best.
We never did breakfast dinner.
I will make you breakfast dinner next week.
Just
I'm in charge of the kitchen next week because someone's got to do lots and lots of work.
I do. So
he's really looking forward to
it'll be great. So Jodie made there was a beef sweet potato pie, which just superb. It looked really good.
I was down for that.
There was salmon, there was a quiche, and then there's a cherry on top.
I fucking love quiche.
It was so good. Natalia made 4 different pies. So her theme was a European dinner.
Yep.
So there was pirog,
Yep.
which was sauerkraut and buckwheat.
Buckwheat, yeah, that was delicious.
Then there was pork and turkey. Mm-hmm. Then there was a salmon quiche, and then she had a cherry tart on top. And it was a full-size cherry tart. Yeah, we'll come to that in a minute.
True. We're just sizzling here.
So we're coming to it right now, because Chris and Natalia were both worried for time. Then Natalia dropped the pie crust.
Oh.
And at this point, I literally wrote in my notes, she only needs to make 3. She's making 4. Surely you abandon the cherry.
You just go, there's no dessert in a European dinner.
The correct answer apparently was, no, you just make the perfect cherry pie from scratch again.
Because why not? Because you're Natalia. And you're talented and stuff.
Now, the beef stew pie with mash, the more and more I saw, when she started to pipe the mash on, just looked better and better by the second.
Oh,
And you know me, I make my pies like that, with a beef stew as the basis, and then...
I'm now thinking of making us a shepherd's pie, if it's not too fucking hot, which, who knows?
It will be too fucking hot.
Yeah.
It's been very hot here in Miscellaneous City.
Yes.
So Chris was rolling a very thin dough, and he did confirm to us all he wasn't making a pizza because that's Italian and Bruno won't like that.
No.
Now, we'll talk about that in a minute because I do want to come back to that when we get to the end of this. It's a very important part of the last part of judging. What is also important is I sat there and counted Colin and Carolyn saying the word very.
He did.
26 berries.
It is very, 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 very wanting to be there.
I love all the berries and then ran out of what the rest of the sentence was.
Yeah, I was. I was just,
you're like,
I was
what was I going to say?
in my head, yeah.
It's a bouncy.
Very, very wants to be there.
Very, 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 Colin.
Now I'm thinking of the Roses ad. Thank you very much for being my missus.
Which is is a song that was used for charities and drives in Canada and America. Thank you very much for your donation. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
And we used it for a chocolate ad.
And we used it for an ad to sell chocolates. For people in Canada, you're listening to this episode going, This hasn't been on the tracks at all. The answer is no. No, it hasn't.
No.
It's been a long weekend. So,
Yep.
Natalia did something that I thought was very brave at one point where she looked in the other and went, well, that seems like it's baked, and moved on. And I'm like, seems like it's baked? Don't need to be more thorough with that? The answer was no, she didn't need to be. Now, this is where that thin bit of baking was a problem.
Yeah.
Chris was standing there, and I don't know why he didn't put it in earlier. He tried to argue that it only needed 5 minutes so he could wait.
Yeah.
Now, the problem was it did only need 5 minutes. That was right.
But to build it...
But to build the tower, he needed more time structurally, so he was trying to rush the tower, and you could just see it leading. And at the end, when they went and stopped baking, he just looked at it and went, I have no idea how that's standing up. And like Aurora was standing there going,
you're just using the force.
oh my God, what can I help you know?
Aurora's a Jedi.
Oh, she really is. She was holding that up with just the mind.
Yeah, these are the pies you're looking for, and they're holding very strongly.
Before we get to the judging, we need to talk about the fine folks.
Yes.
At Australian Sugarcraft magazine.
Yes, we do.
Now, I believe we have a special guest today, because we always have a special guest.
We
and
do.
I believe, fresh from the dirt track, just outside Canberra,
Yes.
I believe we've got a visit
Yes.
from the wombat spirits themselves.
Hello, I'm Brother Bob, the wombat, from the cult of Wombat, just south of Canberra in the bush. I'd like to invite you all along to our introduction meeting where we will tell you about the way to salvation. It's just 36 steps of wombatness, where we teach you the art of rooting, shooting, and leaving. Eating roots, shoots, and leaves. Okay, so anyway, something we like to do in our downtime between, brainwashing people, inducting people into the ways of the wombat, is looking at quality magazines focused on cake decorating and sugar art. Specifically, Australian Sugarcraft is the magazine for you. It's a full-colour digital magazine with step-by-step tutorials, recipes, tips and ideas. Subscription is an annual cost of $19.90. A bargain if you ask me, because even the first step in our 36-step Wombat Cult program is $6,000, or at least 60% of your annual income, whatever is the greater. So anyway, you get two issues per year for $19.90. Ooh, that's a lot cheaper than the second tier, which costs you at least 300% of your annual income, or $60,000, whatever is the greater. That's a good deal you've got there, and you get a lot more out of it, I've found. I've only been in this cult for 30 years, and sure, I've been made a slave, tending to the cult master and stuff, and my only joy is this Australian Sugarcraft when I'm in the Wombat Cult Kitchen baking and making beautiful art with my roses. And what has become, if like me you realize that you need to really revolutionize your life and maybe escape a cult, please don't tell them I'm leaving, but go to facebook.com/Australian Sugarcraft for more information. Now, I'm leaving to go back to the cult now. I may take some time to get there, though, for I must stop and do some cultish things. Please tell them my new name is Joanna. And I will be going back to the cult now. How do I buy a bus ticket to anywhere but that place?
We've got a truck out the back for you.
Thank you. Okay, now I'm going back to Cultland. Goodbye.
Enjoy the cult.
Forever.
Run! Anyway, so, wow, we've changed lives.
Changed lives. Australian Sugarcraft magazine is powerful stuff.
Australian Sugarcraft magazine, the most powerful force in the universe.
Rescuing people from cults.
It's incredible.
30 years of brainwashing and...
It's fixed.
It's
incredible.
Amazing.
So imagine what it can do for your sugar work.
Yeah.
So the judging. Jodie's, they said, was absolutely beautiful. She made 4 pies. The pastry was flaky. Could have been a bit darker, but that wasn't a problem. The beef was great. They said the salmon with the greens was just exquisite. The quiche was wonderful.
Yeah.
The apple tart on top was one of the best tarts that Bruno has ever had.
And Bruno's had a lot of tarts in his time.
Buttery. So Natalia, they said it looked beautiful. The buckwheat...
Sweet and sticky in the middle and everything.
The buckwheat and the sauerkraut were easy to eat. The pork and turkey was a bit lean. But they said the dough was really good. The quiche was generous and well balanced, as Kyla said. That's not a criticism. No. And the cherry pie was absolutely beautiful, and she said the recipe was perfect.
It was so good. Warrant came along and went, she's my cherry pie.
And then did a bunch of really inappropriate things with the fire hose. Anyway, Colin, they loved the details, and Kyla said that it reflected Canada. The pecan needed to be more filling, but it was really nice. Needed more filling, but it was really nice. The peach tasted like the perfect Canadian pie to Kyla. And the bumbleberry was not too sweet. Bruno says that he cooks fruit well.
Yes.
Chris's unfortunately didn't flow. And if you looked at it, one, it was tottering, but the reason it was doing that was the top level was the broadest.
Yep.
And so it was should have been flipped. So the tart flambe was great flavour, but the texture wasn't very good.
Yeah.
The en croûte was flaky and delicious. The stencil work on the top tarts were good, but unfortunately they were hugely blonde. The flavour inside the tart, however, was quite good.
It was.
So that led to the judging. Natalia wins Star Baker.
Yes.
And Chris, unfortunately, has to depart in the semi-final.
It is. I mean, Natalia's cherry pie was so good that Jamie Lane came back from the dead to claim it. Sorry, that was shelved. And I just had to
ring it out.
I couldn't remember his fucking name.
Yeah, I knew you were trying. I could see you
trying
it.
He's dead.
Yeah.
What's his name? So yes, I'm very sorry to see Chris go. I'm very happy to know he's out hiking with Liam these days.
That's cool.
That's cool.
And if you listen to our podcast with Liam, you'll hear all about the fact that Chris went out hiking with him and equipped himself for baking. Not for the great outdoors, for baking.
Because he was there for the turkey day.
Yeah. He had his own baking oven.
Again, I still like to think that they carry it out in a little...
No, so do I. I love that idea.
Capuchin? Is that what it's called?
Let's call it a capuchin.
I don't know, it's the baby holder.
It's now officially a capuchin. So, that's your grand final set.
Oh, you know, I am
It's
happy.
A tough one this year.
It is. Like, any one of them could take it out.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to come down to who does just that little bit better.
Yeah, so I mean, Jodie, Colin, and Natalia, the three of them have just been so consistent.
Absolutely, and when they're off, they're still producing good stuff, and when they're on, it's mag-fucking-nificent.
And the little bit we saw of them bringing out the last set of creations, those three things they were carrying...
Towers, massive towers.
They looked incredible.
They did.
Looked amazing.
Yeah, and solid, because they had to wander down the fucking hill there, and...
I would not have wanted to have been carrying one of those.
No.
I'd give them 3 steps. Don't make them walk down a hill.
I'm so excited. I saw Jay and I saw Liam.
I know, it was great.
And I can't wait to see Jodie and her family.
Oh, it's going to be awesome.
I'm going to cry.
It's going to be awesome.
And Colin and his band... When he's coming down, they're like, boom, 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 boom.
Polite Disagreement need to perform at the grand final.
Please.
Like, if we don't get a performance from Polite Disagreement, I will be gutted.
At least, a harmony, to celebrate.
Colin, please tell us once you listen to this, if Polite Disagreement perform. Like, you don't need to tell us what the song is. Keep that powder dry.
Yeah.
But we really just want to know, is there a Polite Disagreement performance at the grand final?
And will they be touring Australia soon?
Can't believe I'm meeting Colin. Dun, 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 dun. And that's your lot for this week. So we'll be back to talk the grand final. Now,
it's a bittersweet moment, isn't it?
It is.
When it comes to a grand final.
Now, we'll be at some point on the weekend, next weekend.
Yep.
It'll either be late Saturday night our time or Sunday again, just because commitments and things I have to do. But it will be happening, and then there will be a bunch of podcasts in the next few weeks. I can say there will be a bunch of podcasts in the next few weeks with a lot of Canadians talking about a lot of things with us.
Absolutely, and we're hoping to get a few more Australians on too.
Yep, that's all coming up. We've got a backlog of things we've got to do. I've just got literally got this 1 week that's going to take me out of commission. Yep. So we can't record the extra stuff we normally record, but it is going to be happening. And it will, so it might be delayed by a few days, but it will definitely be happening.
Yeah.
So until next week.
Yes.
I'm still Chris.
And I'm still Kristie.
We'll catch you all later.
Where's the bus stop? Oh no, I think that's the cult car. Help!